Welcome to Read the Book First, a book to movie adaptation podcast. Today we'll be discussing the 1961 children's classic, James the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. And to help us with this little adventure, Amanda is here.
Hi guys.
This is our second Roald Dahl that we've done for the podcast. Last
Yes.
summer we did Matilda, so definitely go check out that episode and the subsequent movie episode. As I was reading this, I realized I've never read this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you know because you do the research and stuff. I just show up. Is this one of his earlier books?
This is his first children's attempt of a children's novel.
You can tell.
You can tell.
You could
Hmm.
tell.
Yes.
I've read this book before. Like I know I have, but I also remember not really liking it as much as I like the movie.
I have seen the movie once. It was when I was at like a daycare, and I don't even think I've watched all of it because it scared me so much.
Yeah.
So I truly, besides the fact that there's a kid and giant bugs and a peach, I truly did not remember any plot from said movie, which means I went into this book kind of blind, which is kind of fun, but also it's an interesting book.
Yeah, that's a word for it.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we'll talk about the movie when we talk about the movie, so I'll keep all that to myself. Yeah, no, I read this book this morning because I was like, my memory of this book is that it's super, super easy. And
Yeah.
not only is it super easy, it's so unengaging that I'm like, cool, I literally don't care about this.
Reading this book, it's obvious that one, it's his first children's novel or book story.
Hmm.
And two, it's obvious that he likes poetry and is a poet. Because to this seemed more like, what if we had like seven poems and we kind of like barely strung them together?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what it feels like.
See, I was sitting there and I was like, is he just trying to make the case for why we should like bugs? Is that the purpose?
Fun fact alert. So he talked to his kids a lot when he was reading books to them. He felt that bugs and insects were underrepresented in children's literature, and specifically, he shouted out A.A. Milne and the Winnie the Pooh series because they talk about tons of different animals, but they don't talk enough about bugs. And so that was part of his inspiration, was that there wasn't enough bugs in kids' literature, which I can respect as like a spark of inspiration.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, bugs are cool.
Yeah, I mean, I do like bugs. There's a reason that like this book is popular, even if it's not good. And also the fact that the same guy who wrote it wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
And Matilda and BFG and
Yeah.
some really good stuff. Like knowing the stars of his later books, this being in the beginning, I'm okay with it not being good. It kind of
Yeah.
humanizes him. It's like, oh, I could also write a kind of crappy book and then still be
Yeah.
successful.
And the thing is, you can sort of see the elements that are going to become better later on. Because wasn't Matilda one of his later books?
Yes.
So, like, you can kind of see that evolution of, like, here's a book that's basically just things happening
Which
to
is kind of
the
children's novel like story picture books often.
not wrong.
So let's, I guess, get into the quote plot of this book. We have our main character, James Henry Trotter, which they name full government name like five times in the first like five chapters.
Yeah.
Um, like any children's novel, he becomes an orphan real fast.
Yep.
His parents get killed by an enormous angry rhinoceros that has been escaped the London Zoo.
Yep. Never comes up again.
Yep. And of And of course, after he has this tragic situation when he's 4 years old, he has sent to go live with two evil ants, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker. Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker are abusive and vain and classic Roald Dahl fat and ugly, which
Yeah.
means that they're evil, which we've talked about
And
in
to be
Matilda.
fair, one is fat, the other is just super, super, super skinny and ugly.
Yes.
That's so much
Yes.
better, right?
Uh-huh. But like, and we talked a lot about this in Matilda, and there's been lots of scholarship done about villains in children's literature, and Roald Dahl being a big proponent of this, having like the evil adults be ugly and fat and stereotypically looking like certain types of people. And it's not great, Roald Dahl. It's not good at all.
Can I quickly talk about something that's not that related? So, on Broadway this year, they had this play called Giant that's all about Roald Dahl. And it's basically sort of reckoning, hey, how do we separate the art from the artist? And it's like, interesting choice to come from Jean Lithgow, who is now doing the thing with the turf. So I don't know if this is the message we want to be talking about at this day. Why don't we just have these two things coexist? Which is Roald Dahl was an anti-Semite, and it comes out in his books. And his books are still, there is still quality merit in them despite those things.
Yes. Yeah, and if with that, the guy that you just named that wrote that giant the play, or is it a musical?
It's a play, and it was also the
Okay,
actor.
gotcha.
He
Um,
talked about it in his Tony Award-winning speech for winning Best Actor in a Play.
I remember seeing some things about this when that happened, but like it's like you're projecting, bro. Like, yeah,
Yes.
like
And it's also different because Roald Dahl is dead.
yes,
He's not currently able to actively fund groups that are
uh-huh,
actively harming people. That's an
exactly, and
entirely different thing.
exactly. So when I was in university for my English degree, often we talked about the idea of separating the art from the artist because we read a lot of old white dead guys that, did and believed in bad things that we detest. And often it was the other white guys that were being like, we can separate them. And it was often the non-white men, cis men, that were like, nah, bro, we can't separate them. But there, again, like you just said, there is a difference from an author like Roald Dahl who is current, he has passed away. And so we cannot, like, he doesn't continually do more harm to, various groups that he hated versus
Mm-hmm.
people who are actively billionaires, who are actively doing the worst things that they can do with their money. There is a difference. And I think a lot of times that nuance of that conversation, especially online, because you guess what? Nuance online, barely there. Um, that gets lost a lot.
How dare
Um,
you suggest that maybe we should have some nuance in conversations?
it's almost
We're
like I have a
unrealistic,
podcast.
blocked.
Anyways, want to get back to this book about a giant peach?
Sure.
Yeah. So he lives with these awful aunts and he just has a horrible childhood. They don't let him go outside and play with kids. They make him do all the chores. They yell at him. Also the
It's
aunts
Cinderella
are
story, but with
yeah,
little
yeah.
boy.
But I will say that I forget which aunt is the fat one. I think it's Aunt
Sponge.
Sponge. She
Yeah.
is like like they honestly both of them are kind of like very like they're vain, but like also nowadays if they were saying what they were saying about themselves, they'd be labeled as body positive. Like she's like, I got a beautiful curves. And I'm like, hell yeah, girl. I mean, you're abusive and not good and you should like change your life. But also like I wish I had that confidence. Like a little bit of me
You
was
know,
like, hey.
can't argue with that. You really can't.
But James one day is out on a walk doing some sort of errand, and an old man approaches him just out of the blue. Who's this
Mhm.
old man? We don't know.
Nobody knows.
But he's like, he starts speaking in like poems almost. And he's like, I have this mysterious paper bag. Do you want it, child?
Uh-huh. And because no one has ever taught James stranger danger, he's like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'll get take this mysterious brown paper bag from an old man I don't know.
And he promises that when I take it, it's going to change my life.
Yeah. Then whatever touches these things in there, which I think they were alligator tongues or
Tongues that,
something
yeah, that's what he said.
that were like boiled in a witch's skull or something like witchy. Like, which is like, classic Roald Dahl we see here is that he's like, what if the world is kind of like very grotesque for like a funny, like edgy reason. And honestly, kids do enjoy that kind of stuff. They're like, ew, alligator tongue. It's like that is like if you're 8 years
Yes.
old, that is fun.
Yes. And not only is it fun, it's also like, oh, cool.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Like
and
there's such a like we don't talk we I don't feel like we get kind of caught up in the negatives, but there is something to be said about the way that, like you're saying, Roald Dahl really does capture that kind of like disgusting, fun creativity of childhood,
yeah,
you
it's
know?
like the gross whimsy. Because like often we think of whimsy as like, oh, butterflies and sparkles and like, cottage core. And I'm like, no, whimsy is also alligator tongues that can make things magic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alligator tongues that make things magic, and it's dirt
We,
and bugs, giant bugs.
hmm Kids love digging in dirt, you know?
Can confirm.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, But these little magical green things that whatever or whomever they meet first, they will get the full power of their magic. And so James is taking them home and he's like excited. He's like, I'm gonna change my life. I have some autonomy for the first time in my poor childhood. And he trips over a root under this peach tree and the green things disappear into the dirt. And James says, darn.
Damn. That sucks.
Womp womp. Um, and the next day the ants come out and they discover that this peach tree that has never grown because the ants have not taken care and cultivated this tree is suddenly growing a peach. And the peach is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what do these ants do? They capitalize off of it. They say, we're selling tickets for this event, my friends. And so they fence it in, they sell tickets. People are coming to see this giant peach. It's getting all the neighborhood to, spending their money. And James is locked in his room during this. So James can't even enjoy other people or this peach that he accidentally made magical.
Yeah, and his answer's so weird about, I mean, like I get it, but they don't even like let him take tickets or like stand outside and do things. They're just like,
Hmm.
no, you horrible little child, and we're gonna do everything. And it's like, huh, I wish you
Yes.
were like there comes a point when characters are like so ridiculous that you're sitting there and you're like, huh, what? Why? Why?
Yeah. Yeah. And then he's locked inside during the day, and then at night they lock him outside.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just because they're supposed to be stupid bad girls.
I mean,
But
fair, but also
yeah.
be consistent about it. Like, if you're going to be so
Hmm.
lazy that you're going to make him do all the chores, be so lazy that you make him do all the chores. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they want the money and they want the fame and the attention.
yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, if you had like a 10-year-old starved for attention child, like taking tickets for your attraction, people would probably pick up on something being weird.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. So anyway, they made a tourist attraction out of the giant peach.
Yes. And after a couple days, James is locked out at night outside and he goes to actually look at the peach and he sees that there's a hole. And so he pokes his head through and he crawls through the peach. And when he's on the inside, he realizes that there's a bunch of insects and bugs, but they're all big.
Mm-hmm.
And they all greet him and they're all like, James, you're here. James, we can now do this. Look at all us quirky little bugs. We all have different personalities, but we kind of just bully each other. And we're just big bugs.
Yep, pretty much. And they're like, "Yeah, we have a plan. Of course we have a plan." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, uh, why?"
Uh-huh.
And then coincidentally, the next day, they like snap the peach off the cliff and it kills the ants.
Rolls them over. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Just
Because
straight up kills them.
their whole plan was to get away from the ants by by rolling away, and then rolling over them is just like a little cherry on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you're literally giant bugs. You could have done anything to get away from them. Like you could
Yeah.
have just showed up and then they would have probably been so freaked out. But
Yeah.
whatever. Whatever. Who am I to question the logic?
Yeah, and so they keep rolling and rolling, and they're like telling like poems and songs about what they dream of seeing as they're rolling through the countryside and through the town. And they roll by a famous factory that makes chocolate, it says.
Ah, crossover.
Uh-huh. Crossover, which is interesting because like when did he write Charlie and Chocolate Factory? It
1964.
64. Okay, well, jinx. So, do we think that he was thinking about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as he's writing this?
Yes. I think it's kind of like I think he probably was. According to this, it was originally inspired by his experience of chocolate companies during his school days in Derbyshire.
Oh, so maybe
So
and kids love
kind of just a
chocolate.
fun,
And if he's
yeah,
telling this to his kids, he's going to talk about all the things the peach rolls by.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he says chocolate factory because kids like chocolate. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But the peach flies into the ocean, and so now they're sailing in the ocean. They kind of like all the bugs kind of has this repeated pattern where the bugs freak out, and James solves the problem in like very kid logic. Like the bugs are like, "We're gonna starve," and James is like, "We're in a peach. Eat the peach."
Yeah, and then like they get a whole bunch of sharks in
Sharks start
England,
circling them.
in
Yep.
England, in the North Atlantic.
I don't know enough about Atlantic shark culture.
Um,
Did they like call like killer whales sharks in England maybe? Sharks
no, because
in
also killer
North
whales. Actually,
Atlantic. They do go North Atlantic.
I'm sure they do, but
The
like,
North Atlantic Ocean is home to roughly 84 shark species. I'm gonna say England.
yeah, there you go. Tell
There's
me what you
21 species
find.
of shark that live in England waters year round.
Hot damn. I'm
So
wrong.
they got sharks, man.
I'm wrong. How
Sharks
big
be
are they though?
sharking. I don't know, but it's a peach.
Yeah, fair.
It's a giant peach. We can't think about too much of the science, Amanda.
Okay, but they keep making me think about the science because they keep talking about like what they do for like, oh my gosh, how are we going to keep the peach afloat? Oh, we're going to attach it like this, and then they're all going to stay afloat. And then all of these other things.
Okay, but it's not science because it's not real. Like it wouldn't
I know,
work.
but like it feels real. And also, like, I think sometimes Roald Dahl does a really good job of sort of having this fantastical, gross whimsy, like with the crocodile tongues. I'm not questioning the crocodile tongues,
Yeah.
but the sharks in Britain. I want to know every detail about these sharks.
I can't wait for the shark report I'm gonna get in about 4 hours after you
I
Wikipedia
already got the
search.
website pulled up. I'm gonna look into all of these sharks and tell you which one of them is the most likely culprit.
I think that's a great Patreon extra. So if you want to hear about Amanda's shark report, check out our Patreon link below.
Oh yeah, so anyway, the sharks come in and so they trap all of the seagulls that are following
Yes,
them.
they use the worm for bait, and the worm's like freaked out about it, which makes sense. And they use the like silkworm's silk as like
And the
rope,
spider.
and the spider, and they end up catching 501 seagulls. Is how many seagulls it needs to get the peach out of the water, if
Yeah,
you wanted the
sure.
exact number.
Sure. Sure, that
Um,
works.
and as this peach is now flying, they cross and they see the Queen Anne, and the people on the Queen Anne are freaking out about it, which again,
Yep.
fun bit,
Yep.
right?
And then the poor captain is like, I see giant bugs. And then everyone's like, ah, he's crazy.
He's
Lock him
crazy.
up.
Yep. Um, then, we learn more and more about the bugs. The centipede falls off the side, but James is able to save him. Um, And then they keep on flying through, and then they start to see these giant men, they're called, and these giant men
Hmm.
are making hail, and then the centipede mocks them.
Yep.
So they throw the hailstones at the peach.
Yep.
Um, and then they are able to fly away enough, but then they see these giant men painting rainbows. So it's how rainbows are created.
Yep.
And but then the centipede gets stuck in the paint, but then
And
of the
also they lose some
rainbows,
of the strings
yes.
because of they crash through the rainbow.
Yes, I believe.
Yep, and these cloud
Yeah.
men just all of a
And
sudden
they
stop chasing them.
and then they pour a bunch of rain over them so the centipede does not die of rainbow paint. The centipede almost dies like 4 times.
Yeah, well, the centipede's kind of a jerk, so
True. Yeah. And then they keep on flying, and then suddenly they see skyscrapers. And they must be, oh, look it, they are in New York City. And of course the
The-
peach is gonna get stuck on top of the Empire State Building.
yeah, why wouldn't it?
Yeah,
And all
and
the
all the
people in New York are
seagulls go
freaking out
away.
because they're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, it's the Soviets. We're gonna be bombed. And then
Yep.
the peach gets stuck on the top, and they're like, oh, it's not a bomb. And I'm like, oh, you mean the giant orange fruit thing is not a bomb?
Yeah. And the peach, the firefighters and the policemen come up and they're like freaked out, and James is essentially being like the like mediator between the two. It's like, hey, we we just want to have a good time and live here. What if we fed all these kids this peach before it goes bad, and then you give the bugs jobs? Because that's what bugs want. Bugs want jobs.
This is all the things that I learned about bugs and how helpful they are.
Uh-huh. And so
Sure.
all the bugs get jobs. And then James ends up living in Central Park, and writes the book that we just read.
Yep. And he
And
lives in the
that's
pit. He lives in
hmm
the peach pit.
and that's how it ends. I did not enjoy this book.
Me neither. I remember not enjoying this book. I like quite literally here I had forgotten about the cloud men
Hmm.
because they're stupid and they come right the heck out of nowhere. There's no foreshadowing of them. They just show up and they cause trouble for like 3 chapters and then they go away. And it's like, huh, there's sharks that cause problems for for a thing, even though I don't understand what kind of sharks they
Okay,
are. And then no, but the other thing is they make such a big deal. I remember these sharks for a couple of reasons, mainly to do with the movie, but also because it's me and sharks. They talk about, oh my gosh, the sharks are gonna bite holes in the peach, and they're gonna bite holes in the peach, and that's why they're like so urgent to get it up in the air. And then they get it up in the air, and the spider's like, oh, look, they didn't even damage the peach that much. And they go into this long explanation about how the sharks couldn't properly bite the peach. And I'm like, bro, peaches are so soft, you drop them and they pierce. What do you mean the shark couldn't get a good bite around it? They're soft as heck.
no, this book has no metaphors, it has no analogies, it has no like besides the like rhyme schemes and those little poems, like the little melody like poems, there's no like writing that is deep or poetic, or you know what I
There's
mean?
just
It's
the
very
bigger thing for
simple.
me, there's no internal logic.
Yeah.
And because, like, that's the thing. It's like, I know people make fun of me sometimes because I'm like, why are the sharks there? And then yeah, crocodile, magic crocodile tongues that makes everything big. Yeah, that's fine. But the sharks, man. But the problem is, if you're gonna write a story and it's gonna have this kind of ridiculous element to it, you have to kind of keep that part of it pretty consistent. So you can't go
Hmm.
from, yes, the sharks are attacking the peach to, no, the sharks actually couldn't wrap their teeth around the peach, and so it's totally fine. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then also there are giant cloud people that make rainbows and hails. But here's some very scientific facts about what bugs do.
It's this story is just like a dad was asked by their kids to tell him a bedtime story over the course of like a week, and he kind of kept forgetting what he said the day before. So he kept having to like, it felt like, oh, I'm going to tell you 5 minutes of the story. And then the kid's like, well, you said this one time. He's like, oh, yes. And I'm going to bring that back, but I'm going to change it so it doesn't make sense. And then he keeps on adding. That's what it felt like to me. Like, there's not really a plot, there's not really any character growth.
Hmm.
It's just like weird, whimsy bedtime story.
Yeah, it felt like a bad road trip story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was thinking about it. Though I do want to circle back to one thing.
Hmm.
So the weird old guy who gave James the crocodile tongues.
Yes.
What was going to happen to James if he ate them? Would he become
That's
giant?
what I was thinking. I was like, what is this magic? Is this magic just something that will help James get away from his abusive aunts? Like, because also, is it now that these bugs were they anthropomorphic when they were tiny, but now they're just big? Because why is the peach not anthropomorphic and just a giant peach? So are we just assuming that these bugs have these personalities when they're little?
Yeah, because they talk a lot about how like they had family members get
Yes, the
stuck in
spider
cage
talks
and
about all the
die.
time about
And
how
that's
this
a
family.
horrifying idea of
Yeah.
like all of these bugs being like anthropomorphic and having thoughts and feelings exactly like humans. And
Hmm. And if the bugs have those anthropomorphic thoughts when they're little, then how come those sharks don't? Or the seagulls?
right? See the shark problem, man. It's a driving issue in the story, and they need to address it better.
Yeah. Um, do you want to hear some more fun facts?
Sure.
So, besides wanting more bug representation in children's literature, he was also inspired by this cherry tree, a cherry tree orchard that he lived near. So, this book was almost called James and the Giant Cherry, but he did change it because Peach just had a better syntax kind of sound to it. Um,
That would
right?
make the shark stuff make more sense. And the stuff with the stem. Because cherries aren't that soft.
Yeah, they are.
No, not a good cherry. Look, I have cherries in my fridge right now. I will pull them out and try to squish it to prove my point, if that's what we need to do.
No, no. I'm not going to argue about the shark thing because I think it's just an Amanda land right now, and that's okay. We already talked about how this was his first novel. Roald Dahl was very against censorship, specifically his own book censorship. He, on many times, has been on record telling his publisher to not even change so much as a single comma in one of my books. Like he was
Hmm.
very into it. But in 2023, Puffin Books rewrote portions of a lot of his novels. Specifically in this one, they rewrote stuff to ensure that it can be enjoyed by all today. They took out Sponge's reference to being fat. So now in the 2023 editions, Sponge is no longer fat. They changed the word queer to strange. They removed any reference to skin color. So in this book, like there talks about one of the bugs has like a ghostly white face reaction kind of thing. Like it's very like, oh, this is written in the late 50s kind of way. Like, but they just removed
Huh.
it instead of changing it. They also changed cloud men to cloud people, and they got rid of the reference to the cloud wives.
Okay.
So, my thoughts on just this, brief list of things that were censored. I think trying to change Roald Dahl's evil adults to not be fat but still being ugly is still ableist, right? Because a lot of deformities are still there. So, like, I would rather them not have changed that and we could have like thoughtful, fruitful conversations about that than just being like they're no longer fat. I mean, like being a fat is not evil, but also being deformed and being ugly is not evil. So that was
Yeah.
weird. I get why they changed queer to strange. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's whatever to me. I think removing the skin color references in general is a weird thing. I think they should have they didn't rewrite it. They just removed lines, right? So like if they rewrote it to like still have some sort of emotion on their face description, that would have been
Without
fine.
like being like, oh my gosh, the white
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, you know what I
It's
mean?
just, yeah. And it's also like, I have very mixed feelings on some of that because on the one
Yeah.
hand, I get like queer to strange. Queer had a had an
Different
entirely
meaning
different
then.
meaning.
Yeah.
And it's just not the thing you want to be like dragging in. Like, I don't want anything to do with being in this book. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, but then this other stuff, like the skin color and the like removing the fat, it's like, okay, but you're erasing part of this book and erasing part of the problems with it.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's the point where it's kind of irresponsible.
Yes, I agree. With the Cloudmen, I think changing it, Cloudmen and Cloud People, I'm fine with that. They instead of like rewriting the part, because there's like a paragraph where they talk about how the wives were in the cloud caves cooking and cleaning. I think if they just rewrote it and been like, some cloud people were here, some cloud people were here, that would have been fine. Like,
Yeah.
because it was a very like misogynistic take on the cloud women, or not the cloud women, they're cloud wives. They weren't women, they're wives. And I think that's fine to change it to be more gender neutral. Like, oh, some people do this, some people do that. Cool. That would have been fine. But instead, they just got rid of the whole chunk. And I think this is lazy censorship to me.
Yeah. It's lazy, and to be totally honest, I totally was skimming past the cloud people because it was silly.
It was boring.
It was silly. Yeah, boring and silly. If you're gonna be silly, at least be entertaining. But I didn't even pick up on the cloud woman or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's it almost feels like a reference to like the Entwives. Was that Lord of the Rings existed by now, right?
Oh yeah.
So that kind of feels like what that is, but it's also just silly.
Yeah. Those are my fun facts. And we talked a lot about Roald Dahl in our Matilda episode, so I didn't really go into like him fun facts. So if you want more Roald Dahl fun facts, go listen to our Matilda episodes.
Yes, and also like everyone rolled all a lot of the fun facts are, hey, did you know that he's really kind of a terrible person?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of hated everything that anyone ever did with his work, ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Probably would have hated the movie that we're gonna watch.
yeah, probably he would have.
Also, let's like a shout out real fast to those poor birds that flew across the Atlantic. I
Those
didn't,
501 birds.
yeah, like I'm not questioning that too much because that's just silly, but like,
And now they have to live in New York City.
yeah, yeah, like how often do seagulls fly across the ocean? You know bird facts against your will.
I don't know bird facts. I know people who know bird facts.
You
I
should
don't think
ask.
seagulls migrate. Do seagulls fly across or migrate? Oh, many gull species are migratory. They go from colder to warmer. So it doesn't make sense that they would go across the Atlantic to cold to cold. Do seagulls migrate across the Atlantic?
I mean, Atlantic would make more sense than the Pacific because the Atlantic's smaller.
The lesser black-backed gull, historically bred only in Europe, in Iceland and Greenland, now cross the North Atlantic to winter along the east coast of the United States, reach as far south as Florida. So some gulls apparently do go across and migrate across.
But they probably don't fly the entire time.
Well, where are you gonna stop in the middle of the ocean?
They stop and sit on the water.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Again, I'm not a bird fact person. I just know a lot of bird fact people. Next week, we'll be watching the 1996 version of James and the Giant Peach. There's also a BBC TV play version from the 70s, and I tried to find it on YouTube and I could not. I found some stills from it. Looks terrifying. So I'm gonna do a little bit of research and see if I can find it somewhere. But
There is a musical
yes, there is.
with music written by Pasek and Paul. I have yet to find a full cast album, but I will look.
All right. We'll do a little bit of research and we'll let you guys know if we find those things. Thank you, Amanda, for joining.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you, listeners, for listening. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Read the Book First Podcast. Join us on Patreon to hear all about Amanda's shark report. Uh, follow us on your preferred podcasting platform. Rate us 5 stars. If it's not 5 stars, don't
Don't
worry
worry
about
about
it.
it.
And remember, read the book first.